Hi, welcome to a calculator tutorial from Equaser. My name is Ahmad Shamshiri. In this video we are going to learn how to use this Casio FX-991EX or Casio FX-570EX CLASSSWIZ scientific calculator. This is a full manual that covers everything. So please select chapters. On the larger screen, click on this area of the player so you can see all the chapters, and then click to move to that section of the video. On your mobile device you will see the menu. When you touch it, you'll see all the chapters, and touch to move to that section of the video. So enjoy and subscribe. For this is the best Casio scientific calculator as of March of 2021. I've zoomed in so you can see the screen better, but for the other keys I'm going to move from time to time so you can see which key is pressed, or I'm going to mention it. With a sleek and very thin design, it has solar panel, and to turn it on we're going to press this button, and as soon as you turn it on, and if there is enough light, you will see this icon here telling you that battery is not used and we are using solar power. This protective case is very useful when you carry it in your bag, that this number might wipe out, so make sure to put this cover to protect it. The most important key is this shift key. Every time you press this, the calculator's functionality will change, and every key that has that yellow color will be in effect. So the key job will change from 8 to convert, and so forth. To turn off the calculator, off is here. We have to press shift and then off. The calculator will be turned off, so I'm turning it on again. The calculator will turn off automatically in 10 minutes if you don't do anything. And we have this 4 arrow key that points up, to the right, to the left, and to the bottom. And throughout this tutorial I'm going to show you how to use this. Then we have another key called alpha here. Alpha has red label. All the keys that have red will be activated when you press the alpha, including this A, B, C, D, E, F, X, Y, M, and then all these other marks or characters that you see that are red will be activated when we press alpha. Then the main key, for example, if you look at the sine key, on the left corner we have sine inverse, and the color is like yellowish, so we have to press shift to activate the sine inverse. And also we have another letter here, D. This D it can be used as a variable or hexadecimal when we press alpha. And then we use this menu key, which has another feature also setup. The color is yellow, so we have to press shift with the menu. And also we have this delete, which you can press, and whatever you type, it delete the last letter or character. Now let's go to the mode list. When you press this button, it goes to the menu or mode list. You will see one on the screen. You will see icons. With the arrow you can go left, right, up and down. Any one of these is selected, you will see that name of that function and then the number 1. Now I have to press, if I press 1, it goes to normal, so this is normal operation. But if I want to go to complex, press 2. And for base n, binary, decimal, hexadecimal calculation, we're pressing 3. For matrix determinant, inverse, addition, subtraction, and other matrix calculation, we press 4. And then we have vector calculation to do cross product, dot product, adding, subtracting, and other related vector calculation. We can do also a statistic calculation by pressing 6 when you press mode. 7 is distribution. 8 is spreadsheet, where we can use functions to generate spreadsheet on the screen. And then 9 is table of values, where you can create table of value of 1 or 2 functions. And then we go with the letters A, B, and C for equation and function. Here we can solve root of second, third, and fourth degree polynomials, or we can have system of equations of 2, 3, and 4 equations to solve. And then if you press B with the menu, then we go for inequality calculation. And then if you press C, it will be for ratio calculation. And then that's the end. So when you're on this screen, I can press just 1 to come back to normal operation. In some countries, they show, for example, if I want to use this decimal point, 3.6556. This is dot. In some countries they want, so to change that we press shift setup then arrow, so shift setup once, twice, and then number 3 decimal mark, and here it says either you want it dot or comma. If I want to select comma 2, and then if I press equal, now if I press this S&D standard or decimal, you will see that this shows as comma here the result. But if you want to change it back, press shift setup once, twice, and then 3. I'm going back to dot because we are using dot, and if I press equal sign, now it shows dot. And digit separator, for example 35,000, if I press equal, there is no space between the digits, but if I press shift setup once, twice, and then number 4, then digit separator, and if I turn it on 1, now if I press equal, you see the digit separator, for example, you see every 3 digits we have separator. But if you want to disable it, just press once, twice, and then 4 and turn it off. And if I press equal, now the space have been removed. QR code, we have 2 versions of QR code. Some values that you have here can be displayed as a QR on the screen, where you can scan it with your phone, and we can select shift setup once, twice, and then 3 times, and here you can see QR code 2. And there is a version in some phones or some applications you need different version of QR, so you can select that. I'm pressing 1. And to reset everything in your calculator, in your calculation, press shift and then 9, and here we have to select all, initialize. If you want to just do the setup data, press 1. So you just reset those settings that are in calculator. If you want to set the memory, the value that have been saved, press 2. And if you want both of these, just press 3. And it says initialize all, equal. I'm pressing equal button. And this AC all clear is used a lot. So now it has been resetted. On the screen we see some letters. It shows mode of operation. I'm not going to spend time on this. Every time when something comes, I'm going to explain it. Now let's do some basic calculation. To do 4 sine of 30, it opened already the parenthesis, we have to close it, and then times open 30 plus 10 times 3, and then close it, and then press equal sign. So we got the result. Now we can omit this x multiplication and this one. So let me do it with the arrow. We can go left, back, and edit it, but I'm just doing here and pressing delete. So without that, just press equal sign. If you have the last portion, if it needs closing, you can omit it. And also if I press this and go back, and here delete, you don't need multiplication, and press equal, you can get the same result. And if you need to enter -2, we use this button and then 2, so that is -2. And here, for example, if you want to do 9 times -2, you can do that divided by -3.6. Here this minus doesn't mean subtract, because we have multiplication and minus, and it will work. Now the final parenthesis, as I mentioned, 3 plus 2, and then -4 plus 10. Without putting it, it will work. And here, if you want to do some calculation of fraction 1/2, you can enter it the same way as book. I'm pressing all clear, 1/2, and then with the arrow come to the right, and plus, let's put here 7/4 and press equal. Now if you want the decimal, just press S and D and you get the decimal. Later on I'm going to show you that you set it, and by default it shows that, but you can change it. And if you want to do fraction like this, so we press this button with a shift. Now 3, 1 with the arrow, I went to the top, and then bottom 2, and then come to the right, plus, and then shift 5, go to the right, it goes at the top, 3/12, for example, and this is the answer, and S and D will give you the decimal value. And the same way as I mentioned, you can move the cursor, and let's see, we can do 6 divided by 2, 1 plus 2, and as you can see, it automatically added parentheses around it. And if you want to do 6 divided by 2 square root of 2 here, if I press equal, you see that it has added parentheses to properly define it. But if you want 6 divided by 2 and then multiply by square root of 2, you can do so by open parenthesis 6 divided by 2 and then a square root of 2. This way the answer will be different. If you did something, for example, times 9, and you want to undo it, the undo is here, press alpha and delete. The last action, like computer, will be deleted. Let's say you enter 1 plus 7/2 and you said, oh, I made a mistake and I want to change it to this. It can be done very easily, 1 plus 7/2, and you typed it. In this case, with the arrow, we go before the 7 once, twice, 3, 4 times, and the cursor is blinking. Now we will use insert, shift insert. This button, the delete, is also insert with a shift, so shift insert. Now the cursor changed to arrow, and if I press this, all the content will go underneath of that. And this is a simplified version. If you want decimal value, you can do so. Now if we go with a shift setup 1 and 2, we can select the math shift setup. This is a setup, number 1 input and output, and then number 1 here, 1 1. This 1 is math in, math out. Whatever is in the book, you enter and you will see it like that. And this is where 4 over I'm putting 6 plus 1 over 12. You can do so like that with a decimal, and this will be also the same. Now if you want to enter something like that, first press the fraction 1 plus square root of 2, and then with the arrow come to the denominator and then square root of 2. When you press equal, you see the simplified version of the same thing. So these are equal, and this is the decimal value. And if you have pi over 6, pi is this button with a shift, all clear, pi over 6. If I press equal, you will see it very beautifully the way it's written on the book, and press S and D to convert it to decimal. So this is math in, math out as well. Now let's go to math in, decimal out, shift setup, and then 1 2 1, and then this time we go to decimal 2. Now if we do this calculation, square root of 2 with the arrow, go to the right, plus 2, close it, multiply by square root of 3. Now you will see it gives you directly decimal. So that's the mode that in some cases you will need to leave it. And now if I press S and D, it changes value or to decimal value. And the same way, if you have 5 over 3, for example, this is 9 over 10, you see you will get decimal, but you can change it with the fraction back. Let's go to line in, line out, shift setup, and then 1 3 1, and then line 3. Now if we want to do 4 over 5, for example, 4 over, you see it has changed because this is not math, this is now in line. 4 over, I'm just entering 9 plus 6 over, and then equal. You see it like that. So that's also the same fraction, 38 over 45, and you can press this S and D to display it like decimal value. Now we can do multi-line font, shift, setup, and then 3 times we go once, twice, and 3 times, and multi-line font 1, and then here we can multi-line font small or normal. Let's go to small, and as you can see the screen got significantly small, but this has some beauty. Let's go open parenthesis 1 plus a square root of 2 close divided by square root of 2. As you can see, we see the previous operation and this operation. In many cases this might be useful to you, so you can set it like that as multi-line font. Let me change it back. Shift, setup, once, twice, 3 times, and then font 1, and then normal font 1. Now you see the screen got bigger. Let's go to line in, decimal out, shift, setup 1, and then 4, line, and then decimal. This was line, decimal 4. And if you do for example 4 over 9 plus 3 over 12, you get a decimal like this. Without, the other one was showing it like this, and then we press this button to switch it. And let's do the same thing. 1 plus square root of 2 divided by square root of 2. Same way you can get decimal. And let's go to shift, setup 3, shift, setup, and then 3, number format, and then fix. So we can do between 0 to 9, fix the digit of in the decimal place. For example, if you want 2 decimal place, if you are working with some money, or in some cases your course require you to only represent the value with 2 or 3 decimal or 5, whatever number of decimal up to 9, you can select it in fix, and then I'm selecting 2. So now I've selected fix, and you see fix here on the screen, so you know. And let's do 100 divided by 7, and you will see that it is like that. Let me go to the line, shift, setup 1, and then decimal 2. So 100 divided by 7, it shows with the 2 decimal places. But I can change it back, shift, setup, number format 3, and this time from fix go back to normal 3, and then number 1. We go with that other value, and you'll see in this case when fix is removed it works properly. And in terms of scientific notation, we can press shift, setup 3, and you can do significant digits from 0 to 9, and here in this case I'm going scientific 2 and then 5, because we require here 5. And let's say you divide 1 by 7, 1 divided by 7, and it shows 5 significant digits, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if we go to shift, setup, and then 3, and then 3 normal, I have 1, which I was, but this is just an example. 1 divided by 200, you will see, because we were in scientific notation, and we can press S and D to change it in 3 ways, not in decimal, from here to that mode. So we can return back to normal, shift 3, and then 3, and then 2. Now 1 divided by 200 will give you something like this. You can press S and D to go back to decimal or fraction. We can use engineering symbols, shift, setup 4, and the engineering symbol can be on or off. Let's turn it on, 1, and then divide 1 divided by 200. When you press it, it shows 5 milli. And the same way you can do micro, nano, and other values. 3 divided by this number, it shows micro. To turn it off, shift, setup, and then engineering 4, and turn it off 2. Now it shows actual number without engineering symbol. And then we have fraction result. We can set it. We can set it by shift setup down and then 1 fraction result. 1 is fraction, and let's say 9 divided by 2. It will show like this. If you press S and D, you will see it like that because we enabled it like that. Setup down fraction result 1 and then make it be like fraction 2, and then now 9 divided by 2. If I press it, it doesn't show the other format, it just shows 9 over 2. You can do multi-statement, meaning you can do 1 calculation and 2 calculation all together with a colon in between. For simplicity, I'm just using 3 plus 3, but let's say sine of 45, and then we press this alpha and then this button, which is that's a colon, alpha colon, and then 3 times 3, for example. If I press equal, you see the number here, but I press equal again and it shows 3 times 3 is 9. You can have 2 or more and you can do it all at once. Now let's see how we can do prime factorization of 1014 and press equal. Make sure it is here. Then you can press shift and this button, which is fact, shift fact, and it will be factored. Prime factor of the 1014 is this. If you want to do calculation history, 2 plus 2 equal, and 3 plus 3 equal. You can go back and see the calculations, all the numbers that you have done. So this arrow shows that we are at the end and there is no more, and you can go down, it shows there is more, and when you reach the last one you will see that it cannot go down further. If I press all clear, everything disappears. This answer key will give me the last calculation that I have. If I press answer equal, it will give me the answer that I have. All clear, or you can press answer plus something. You can do that. You're divided by something. This calculator also has pi, which I've shown you here with a shift. You can access it. And then this Euler number with the alpha. You press alpha and the same button that is for pi. If you want to type 5 squared, just type 5 and then this button squared, and then you can press equal or plus some calculation that you want to do. Or if you want to do cubed, 12, also we have cubed here with a shift. The same button will automatically give you cubed. But if you want to do some other numbers other than squared and cubed, let's say 7, and then press this button and then type whatever you want, let's say 5. If you want to do Euler to the power of something, then we have a dedicated button here, and press shift Euler to the power and then 4.12, for example, so you can enter that. If you want to do square root of 25 equal cube root, we have a dedicated button, shift cube root of 127, for example. If you want to do fifth root of 187, we have a button here, this one, shift this one, shift this button, and then enter 5 with the arrow, come to this side, 187. We get the value. If you want to do something like that, all clear, press square root and then press this fraction. Let's enter 2.5 with the arrow, come down, and here sine of 25, sine of 25. In this case you have to close it because the last operation is at the end. So close it. Now we can press equal, we get the number. If you want to do log of 41, for example, we press shift log and then 41 equal. If you want to do log base 2 of 18, because this was log base 10, we don't enter it. In this case, we press this button, log base 2 of 18, and then we get the number. If you want natural logarithm or ln of 41.65, ln of 41.65, we can do that. If you want to do the inverse of, let's say 5, that's the same as 1 over 5. So this is hard, 1 over 5, because you have to press that button. But here we can press 5 and then one button will do it for you. This is the inverse. If you want to do 1 plus 3 to the power of 2 plus 4, for example, 1 plus 3, close it and go to the power, and then you can enter 2 plus 4, you get answer, or continue with your calculation. And if you want to do 1 times 10 to the power something, this is a button that has times 10 to the power. Everything is in 1, all clear. 1 times 10 to the power with one button, and then minus and 2. You can do that. You can see it, or you can continue like that. If you want to do factorial, factorial is a method that whatever number you have, you start from 1 up to that number, multiply, and the result is a number. To do that, we press 4, and then factorial is shift with this x, inverse shift, factorial, that's the answer. And if you want to do factorial of 21, it's huge, maybe it will not fit, but yeah, it's to the power of 19. If you want to do absolute value, we press shift and then this opening parenthesis, 2 minus 7 with the arrow get out, and then times 2, it gives you the answer. Now if you go to the line mode, shift setup 1 and then line mode 3. If I press shift, now you see ABS, absolute, 2 minus 7, close it, times 2. The same answer. Now let's change it back. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and subscribe now. Now let me show you how you can do percentage calculation. Percentage question can be in 3 ways. The first one would be 20% of 15,000. To do that, we use this percent sign with the answer, this button here, with a shift. We type 15,000 times 20 and then shift with percent. Now if I press equal sign, you get 20% of 15,000 is 3,000. In this case, you can do 20 shift percent times 15,000, you get the same answer. But now the question can be in another way. 3,000 is what percent of 15,000? We know it was 20, but let's say if you don't know it, how you can do it. And here is how you do it. 3,000 times 100 divided by 15,000. And it will give you the number 300. As you can see here, the rounding caused this to be displayed like this. But the actual number was 300, which later on we're going to have a look at this. The third way would be 3,000 is 20% of what amount? We want to find that 15,000. So 3,000 is 20%. In that case, we use 3,000 times 100 divided by 20, and it gives you 15,000. You want to increase 2,500 by 15%. Let's say this is a tax or something on top of it. So we do the actual value, because if we do 2,500 times 15%, this will give you 15% amount. We are just adding it to actual value. 2,500 plus 2,500 times 15 shift percent and equal, it gives you the answer. Or if you want to do the discount, 3,500 by 25%, the same way we do 3,500 minus 3,500 times 25 shift percent. This time we are subtracting, and it has been reduced by 25%. Now let's see how we can do degree, minute, second, the sexagesimal calculation. You can enter degree, minute, and second using this button. And every time you enter the value, you press the button. This is this button directly, minute and second. For example, 15 degree, 18 minutes and 35 seconds. You want to add it to something or just convert it to decimal. We enter 15 and then this button, 18 and then 35 seconds. You must enter at the last one, otherwise you will get error. And this has been displayed the same, but we can press S and D to get it decimal. If your calculator is set to decimal, shift setup. Let me go 1 and then 2, 5, 18, minutes and then 35 seconds. If I press equal, I get directly the value, but if I press S and D, it goes to this mode. Now, if you want to convert 25 minutes and 36 seconds to decimal, keep in mind, because we don't have the degree, we have to enter the degree. So 0 degree, 25 minutes and 36 seconds, press equal. We got error because I did not press the button, and then equal, it has been converted. If you want to do 9 degree and 18 seconds, because the minute is missing, we have to enter it properly. 9 degree, 0 minute, and then 18 seconds, equal, and that's the decimal value. Now let's see how we can do calculation in engineering mode. Center 1, 2, 3, 4, and then press equal sign. Now if you press engineering, ENG, this button here, you see that it has been changed to scientific notation, like that. And if I press it again, it becomes to the 0, so 10 to the power 0 is 1. If I press it again, it becomes -3. Every time I press it, it goes 3 decimal place and then become 6, -6, and that's the maximum. But I can press shift and ENG, that arrow, it goes in reverse, so it becomes -3, 0, and if I press it, it goes more and even more. So 0.001234 times 10 to the power 9. That's the same value. And in engineering also, you can enter milli, micro, nano, pico, and then femto, kilo, mega, giga, tera, peta, exa. But you can also add it with regular values, and that will be converted, so you can do the calculation. Now let's enter 12.5, 12.5, then press option and 3, this OPTION, option, and then 3, engineering symbol. You see micro is 2, and that's the value, 1/8000, or if you want to see it like this, but you can add or do other calculation if you want. Now if you want to enter 12 kilo, 12, and then option 3, and then kilo 6, that's 12 kilo directly will be inserted. Now let's see how we can do memory operation with this calculator. This calculator has these variables A, B, C, D, E, F, M, X, and Y. They are all labeled here. A, B, C, D, E, F, X, Y, and M. They're all red, so you know you have to press alpha, but also sometimes you don't need to. I'm going to explain it. And for example, if you want to store 3 plus 5 in A, so 3 plus 5, we press store, this STO, and once you press it, you see here, see that symbol here with the arrow. Now you can press any of these buttons directly from A to F, and then X, Y, and M. I'm going to store it in A, so I'm pressing this button directly. It shows it has been stored in A. And the same way, if you want to store 12 in B, press store B, it goes to B. And the same way if you want to do it in C, so you can, after pressing store, A, B, C, D, and the rest also you can do that. To recall, we press shift store, which is recall, shift store, and then you can see all of them, and then press the appropriate button that you want. You get the value. You can do A plus 45, so we press all clear, shift, recall, A plus 45. We can do so. 10 times 5, and then press this M. You will see M appeared and it has been added to the memory. So you can do more. For example, 10 M plus, it has been added. 100, and then M plus has been added. To recall it, just press shift recall, and you will see M is 160. Just press M to bring it. You can press it or do calculation with the M. I pressed multiplication and division, so one of them is allowed. You can do the same way, subtract, for example, 10 times 5, and then this time M minus is with a shift, shift M minus. So 50 have been subtracted. If you remember, shift recall. Now it's 110. To clear memory, press shift 9. All clear, shift 9, and then memory 2, and then are you sure? Equal sign, and the memory have been cleared. Now shift recall. You see all of these are 0. For clearing only memory, let's say you have 50 and then plus, this M is here. If you want to clear just this memory, put 0 and then store M. 0 is an M, and that M have been cleared. Now let's see how we can use sine, cosine, and tangent. For example, to find cosine of 8.3 degrees, we press cos 8.3, and then without closing, we press the value, you get it. This depends on the type of the angle that you set here. This is D for degree. We can change it. I'm going to show you. And then 42, let's say sine of 42, or sine of pi over 2, you can enter it like that. But because this is now radian, we have to set that in radian. So press shift setup, angle unit number 2, and then radian 2. Now it's in radian. Even if 42, if I press equal, you see different number. So let's enter pi over 2, sine of alpha pi over 2, and then press equal. That's correct. If we go and shift setup and we go math and line mode, shift setup 1, we go to the line mode number 3, sine of 45, you will see it like this, and it will not change. If we have a question something like this, that it says sine of some angle is 0.8, what is that angle? Or cosine of some angle is this angle theta is 0.5, what is that? So in this case, how we do that, we use inverse of sine of 0.8, so it can give us this theta. And let me reset the calculator, shift reset 3, yes, everything has been resetted. Shift sine, that's inverse sine of 0.8, and it gives you 53 degrees. And we can do the same way, cosine of shift cosine of minus, I'm using that minus 0.5, and it gives you the angle. If you want to do sine, cosine, tangent, hyperbola, all clear, press option and then hyperbolic function 1, and then select sine 1, that's sine hyperbolic of 5.3. We got the value. And if you want the inverse of this, the same way, for example, you have inverse sine hyperbolic of 100, press option 1, and this is inverse number 4. We got the value. Now let's see how we can convert angle unit from degree, radian, and gradian, one to the other. Let's say you want to convert 45 degrees to radian. The result that you want, your calculator must be in that mode. Because this is degree, I want to set it in radian, shift setup, angle unit 2, and then radian 2. Now you see R here, all clear. Let's do 45 degrees, 45, and then we have to say this is degree, press option, and then you see angle unit number 2, and here 1 degree. Now you see the degree symbol, so 45 degrees to radian, just press equal sign, you get it the exact value in terms of radian, or press S and D to get decimal value. If you want to convert 300 degrees radian to degrees, we have to be in degree, shift setup, angle unit, degree 1. I'm pressing all clear, 300, and then option. We have to tell the calculator what we have. We have radian, so that's 300 radian, press equal, that's in degree. If you want to do 73.4 degree to gradient, first be in grad, shift mode, angle unit, and then grad 3. Now 73.4, and then go to option 2, 1. So 73.4 degrees, and then if I press equal sign, you get the angle. Now let's see how we can do summation calculation. When you do summation, it's actually evaluating this function with starting of this number, and then the result will be a number added to the next number to the next number until it reaches to 4. So x changes from 0, all the x, and then add it, and then 1, 2, 3 up to 4. So that's summation. This is as if we have replaced all the x with 0, the value of this, plus the value with 1, 2, 3 and 4. So that is summation. For summation we press shift and then this x. Now you see alpha x and then to the power 5, go to the right, open parenthesis, and then we have 3x minus 6, 3x here. We can press this x directly, minus 6, and then close it. We can press alpha and this x, that's the same, but this x makes it very convenient. And then with the arrow, come to the right. So start from 0 and then up to 4, go with the right at the top, press 4 and equal, and that has been calculated. Now let's see how we can use integral calculation in this calculator. So first of all, this calculator cannot give you formula. It always can give you a number. That's very important. And we can use different integral. For example, let's say you want to evaluate this. Press this integral and then x squared. I'm pressing this x, or you can press alpha x, the same, squared, and with the arrow come to the right. As soon as you come, it goes to the lower section, and then the lower bound is 1, and then go to the right, 2. Now we are finding the area under the curve, which is a number. We got it, 3/7, and it depends on that. If you have sine and cosine, it depends on the unit shift setup, 2 degree. Right now it will not have any effect, but if you have sine or cosine, you will see it. For example, here sine of x, let's press all clear, press sine of x and then close it. With the arrow, come to the right, lower bound is pi, alpha, shift pi, and then go with this arrow at the top. It goes at the top, press 2 and then shift pi. I pressed this button for pi and then press equal. Now this number is incorrect because we are in degree mode. Let's change it to radian, shift setup, angle unit 2 radian. Now if I press it, you get the actual value. This is in math IO, but if you do it in line mode, it's different. Let's go shift setup 1 and then line number 3. Now if I press this, the integral has changed. Let's enter sine of x, and then close it. Now we don't need dx, we need to put comma. I'm pressing shift and then this button, that's for comma. We put lower bound, shift pi, and then again shift comma, and then upper bound 2, shift pi, and then close it, press equal, you get the answer. You can have optional tolerance. For example, if you want to put this dx to be pi, we can go with this arrow, delete, and then put another comma, and you can put a tolerance like pi and then close it. We get the same number, but this tolerance, if you change it, the result will be different because dx is the change in x or delta x. Now let's see how we can use derivative calculation. All clear. So evaluating derivative is at a point. Again, like integral, you get only a number. You cannot get antiderivative or something that give you the equation. So it gives you the number only. And let's say you have if you want to evaluate 2x squared minus 3x plus 2, the derivative of this at certain point. What it means is take the derivative and evaluate it at a number. So this is a function of position of an object, for example, and if you take the derivative of the position, it will be speed of that object. And for example, you are told that this is the equation of a position of an object. Find the speed at 2 seconds. So you take the derivative and evaluate it with a 2. Math mode, shift mode, input output 1 and then 1. And now let's enter shift and this button, that is the derivative. Let's enter our function 2x squared minus 3x minus 3x plus 2 with the arrow come to the right, and that is the value we are evaluating. For example, if you take the derivative, it will be this with a pen, but in this case let's evaluate it with the 2, and then if I press equal you get 5. That's the answer. So let's do it with 3. Go with the arrow to the left and evaluate it with 3. So this, in many applications, it makes it very easy. 9. Now let's see how we can do polar and rectangular conversion with this calculator. We can do polar and rectangular. Sometimes they are called Cartesian conversion. And let's say you have r and theta in this format. R is 6, theta is 36.8. This r is the magnitude, and theta is this angle from this x-axis. We want to find x and y, the distance from y-axis and the distance from x-axis. So that's x and y. Because we want it in rectangular, we use these two buttons, plus and minus, with a shift. It says pole and rect. Now in this case, because we want rectangular or EC, I'm going to press shift with this, shift rectangle, and we enter R6 and then shift comma and then 36.8. Now it's very important that because this is degree, it must be in degree. Now it's in radian. Let's change it. Shift setup to angle unit 1 degree. Now it's in degree. Press equal, and it shows you x. That's x, and then y with the arrow. You can go this way. But if you want to change it to line, shift setup 1 line 3. Now if I go to rectangular, 6 shift comma 36.8 equal. Now you will see x and y is shown beautifully, so keep that in mind. And in this case we want to find r and theta. X is 4 positive, y is negative because it's below this axis. So the magnitude is, we want to find the magnitude and angle. In that case we press shift pole and then 4 shift comma minus, I'm going to use that minus 5, close it, and then press equal, and you will see r 6.4 and theta of minus 51. Minus 51 is because it's below this axis. It should be minus or negative number. Now let's see how we can use the random function of this calculator. So we have one random number. I put it in this color so you know we can press shift, and that is this random here with a decimal point, and then we have another random which is red. We have to press alpha, and then we have another random here again with a shift. This doesn't have the hashtag, this has a hashtag, and this will generate from 0.000 to 0.999. And if I press shift random and then press equal, it generates it. Let me go to line mode, to decimal mode, shift setup 1 and then decimal 2. So shift random, you see it generates. Every time I press the equal sign, the value changes, pressing and pressing and pressing it. And if you want to generate, let's say between 0 to 999, just put 1000 in front of it. So 1000 and then shift random. Now it will be anything up to 999. I'm pressing equal every time there is a new random number. So if you have random, if you need random integer, for example between 2 to 10, then we use alpha with the same dot, alpha and then decimal. Now we can put 2 and then put comma and then 10. Press equal. Every time I press equal, it gives you a new number, a random number. Let's put some larger number, and every time I press it, it gives me a random number. If you want to do rounding some numbers, let's see before rounding. If we do 10 divided by 3 times 3, the answer is 10 because we multiplied by 10 and divided by 10. But if we select fixed 3 decimal places, shift setup, 3 number format, and then 1 fix 3, now still the answer is the same. We see some extra zeros. But if we do shift and then setup, it says random 10 divided by 3. Now multiply by 3, and you will see we are getting a rounded number by 3 decimal places. Now let's see how we can do permutation and combination with this calculator. We can do permutation and combination. PR refers to permutation and CR for combination. And let's say for combination you want to pick 6 out of 49. This is the same as lottery when people play in some countries. So this is now fixed. Let's go to reset, shift 9, 3 and equal, and then for NPR and NCR we press this multiplication sign with a shift, and then plus sign with a and then division sign with a shift. So that's NCR. So we type 49 and then shift NCR because that's combination, and then 6. So this is 49, choose 6, 13,000,000.98. So that's the chance of winning lottery, 1 in this much, 1 in this number. And if you want permutation, put 49, shift, and this time press this multiplication that you see P and then 6. This is huge because this allows repetition. The same number can be used again and again, so that's why we have huge number. Now let's see how we can use QR code with this calculator. If you do 5 plus 3, 5 plus 3 equal, then we can use shift and then option that says QR. It immediately generates the QR for you, and then we can use our camera to scan it. Let's see if I bring it here, you see my phone scanned it, or you can use your own app. If I just touch it, it takes me to Casio Worldwide, and it brought the number here because that's the value of QR. And if your camera does not scan it, you want to reduce or increase the brightness, you can do so with this 2 left and right arrow key. All clear to exit. Now let's see how we can do complex calculation. For complex calculation, we need to do a little setup here. Shift setup. Now the calculator is off. Shift setup, lower arrow, and then 2 for complex. And here we can set our format, either rectangular format, real plus imaginary, something like that, or we can set polar magnitude and angle. And in this case I'm going to select 1. You will see the reason. We have complex notation. You will see in some books a plus, for example, 8 plus 5i, they use I, or they use 8 plus j5. They put the letter or j before the number in the last term. Whichever format you use in your school, in this calculator we are using I. So to go to complex, press mode, and then second one, number 2 is complex, press equal. Now you will see here I, and depending on the setting, for example, if I go shift setup down 2, and then if I press 2, you will see angle here. But in both cases, we know that we are in complex mode. Now let's do the calculation. 2 plus 6i divided by 2i, 2 plus 6, and then for I, because we are already in complex mode, this button ENG will work for I automatically, and when you press shift it will work for angle. So I'm pressing I, and now I should have put here a parenthesis and then divided by 2i, press equal, and that's the answer. As you can see, square root of 10, angle minus 18.43, and that's because we already have set this in angle and it will convert it. But the value is exactly the same, and we can convert it back to other value, which I'm going to show you. And if you want to do, for example, enter this and press equal, because now we are in already in polar mode. Let's change it, shift setup once and then 2 and then go to rectangular 1, and now let's enter 2 shift angle 45. Because of this setting, it will be converted to this mode, and as you can see, real part plus imaginary part, and you can press S and D to get the two value, 1.14 and then plus 1.14i. You can also find conjugate, for example 8 plus 5i, press option OPT and then conjugate number 2. You see conjugate 8 plus 5i, exactly the same way as your book, and this was plus, it has converted to minus, and that's the conjugate of it. If you want argument of 8 plus 5i, option argument 1, 8 plus 5i. Argument of this is an angle. If I press equal, you get the angle, and remember this angle again depends on the unit that you've set there. It says degree, shift setup, and then angle unit 2. You can select it to radian or gradient, but we are going 1 degree, so that's fine. And if you want to get the real part of 8 plus 5i, in some calculations, for example, you have, for example, 8 plus point something plus I, like this one, and you can save it by pressing store A, and now it's in A. And in this case, let's say you want to get the real part of it, it will be very easy. You can press option and then real part 3 and enter here. Let's enter is 8 plus 5i, 8 plus 5i, and if I press equal, we get 8. But if it is a little unusual, let's go bring from memory, shift recall A, and then press equal, and you will see we are getting the real part. And if you need imaginary part, the same way, we can press option 4 imaginary part of 8 plus 5i, and you will get the 5i if you need it in your calculation. So that's imaginary part, but we know it's imaginary, just give you the 5. And if you want to get the real part of such format of a polar mode, shift real part 3, you can enter 9 shift angle 36 and then close. It already converted to rectangular and gets the real part for you. And the same way, imaginary, shift 4, 9 shift angle 36, close, and it gives you the imaginary part of it as well. Very convenient. And if you want to convert, for example, 9 angle 36 degrees to rectangular format, we can do so by entering our value 9 shift angle 36 and then press option, then go down to the next screen, whichever format you want, because we want rectangular, A plus B plus 2. So this will be converted to whatever you put here, and that is this value, real part, and then this arrow shows that we have more, and then I is here, or press S and D, so you can see real and imaginary. This calculation also can change depending on a setting. You see we are in math mode. Let's go to line mode, shift setup, and then input output 1, and then go for this decimal 2. Now if we go for example 9 angle 36 and then shift convert it to this format, if I press equal, automatically it will go in this format in 2 line. You don't have to press S and D. And if you want to convert 7 plus 8i, 7 plus 8i, option next screen 1, it will be polar and it will be converted. This is angle 48.8 in degree. Now let's see how we can use the CALC feature of this calculator. We have here a button labeled CALC, and this button is used that you can enter a formula, something like this, and it will ask you for A and B. Once you enter the value, it will evaluate it for you. So this is very useful in physics, chemistry, calculus, or any other subjects that you have. So let's enter this formula. 2, I'm pressing alpha and then A, plus 4 square root of and then alpha b. Now we have the formula the way you have. Whatever formula you have, if you don't have the variables, just use a, b, c, d up to f and then x and y. So replace the formula that you have with these variables, and we just press calc, and it says what is a, and let's say if a is 25, and it says what is b, 1.56 for example, and now if I press equal, it has evaluated the value for me. We can also do the in complex mode, but your calculator must be in complex, so I'm pressing menu and then complex 2, so I is there. Now I'm in complex mode. We can do a plus alpha a plus 5 for example b and then I this way. Then press calc, what is a, some value, and b something else, and if I press equal, it has evaluated at 632 plus this number I. So this is real and this is imaginary part. You have alpha a and then shift angle open parenthesis b plus sine of c. So in this case, our equation means the angle is calc. It says what is a, this is 6, and b is, let's say, 8, and it asks for c. C is an angle, and it depends on the mode. It's degree in terms of angle unit. Let's say 45.6, and if I press equal, it has evaluated. Now let's see how we can use the solve feature of this calculator. Press mode and then 1. I'm returning to normal. When you use solve, you can solve, for example, for x or any other variables that you have, and we can enter our formula with multiple variables, and whichever variable that you prefer will be solved. In this case, let's solve for x and enter our formula. Press x squared plus alpha b, and then for equal, I'm pressing alpha with this equal, alpha equal, and then 0. Once your equation is completed, then press shift and then solve, because that's the second function of this button, and it says what is x, and in this case we want to enter for b -2, and for else x initially just set 1, and bear with me, and I'm pressing equal. Now it says what is b, -2. When I press this, you see this highlight. Now if you have multiple variables with the arrow, you can go and up and down and see whichever you want. Let's say we want to solve x, just bring x and press equal, and that's the solution. And then this left and right, when it is 0, its accuracy is very high, and it's closer or narrower because of using the Newton method, as we are getting closer to the value of x. So 0 means high accuracy, and you might see sometimes some number. The higher the number, the less accurate the result. From this screen, if you want to continue, just press equal, and it will ask you again. For example, we enter 1, and then if you want to enter something for b, something else, let's say 6, and then press equal, and then with the arrow select x, because that's what we want to solve for. When you press equal, if it's not able to solve it, you'll see cannot solve on the screen. So this calculator may not solve for something like square root of x or sine of x or e to the power x. So you will see cannot solve on the screen. This calculator may not solve for something like square root of x or sine of x or e to the power x. So you will see cannot solve on the screen. Now let's see how we can do a statistics calculation with this calculator. To go to statistic, press menu and then 6. We are in statistic mode. The screen will present to select that variable that we want, and this slider will show that we have more screen, so 2 screens are here. And remember, if you exit from this mode, all the data that you have saved or stored will be lost. So we have single variable you can see it like that. And we have regression, linear regression, this one, and then we have quadratic to the power 2, and logarithmic, as you can see, ln, it has ln a plus bn, and then we have exponential, and then we have power regression, as you can see, x is at the power b to the power x, and we have inverse regression, in this case b over x. And then we need some setup, simple setup down, and then statistics 3, and we get this option to turn the frequency on or turn it off. This is showing frequency, and then if you set it off, it will not show the frequency column in your calculation. So I'm just pressing 2 to hide it, and let's enter data entry for single variable, because we are in one variable. Let's enter all these values, option, and then data 3, and you will see the column here. I'm pressing 1 and then this equal sign after each value. 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5. So we have 10 values, and then press all clear, do not worry. And if I press option, this option button, and with the arrow just go once, twice, and 1, this shows summation. We can get summation of a value or summation of a square root of value of x. If I press 1, you will see it here, so you can use it in your calculation or do something with it if I press like that, or you can simply press equal sign to see it if you want. And that's a summation, that's a summation. And if I press option once and twice, variables 2, so we will see the variables, for example mean, and then population standard deviation, and then you can see population variance, population standard deviation, and number of items, and so forth. On any of this, if I press the number, for example for the mean, I can press 1 and equal, I will be able to see it for any of those variables. And if I press option and then 2, we see all the variables. These are very tiny, but the values are there. We have 3 screen actually. You can see we can scroll and see them all, and that's amazing, and you can use any of this you want. And if I press option lower, and if I press option lower screen, and if I press 3, I can see minimum, maximum, median, and then first quartile and third quartile. Now let's see this question. Determine the normalized variate when x is equal to and p at t at that point with 3 decimal places. So we have to go first in fixed mode, press shift, setup, and then number format 3 fix 1, and we select 3, so now it shows that we are in fixed mode in statistics, but fixed mode, so you can have 3 decimal places. Now let's enter our value 2, option, go down, 4, normal distribution, and here we can select 4 because we want to put it at t. Now if I press equal to at that t, we got a number, and now we want to get it or estimate the value. Press option and then down 4, and in this case 1, we want to put the t, the value, in here, so the answer will have it. I'm pressing this answer key and close it, and this is the estimate value. And if you want to change the type, option and 1, just press option 1, and from here we can select linear regression, for example 3. It says the memory will be cleared, press equal, yes, and it has been cleared. And as you can see, frequency was enabled, and let's disable it because this data doesn't have column for frequency. Shift setup once, and then statistics 3, frequency 2, off. Now the column disappeared. Let's enter these values. 170, I'm pressing equal, and it goes to the next and next. 170, 170, and then with the arrow come to this 66, 68 and 75, 66, 68 and 75, and press equal and all clear. So we can see option 2, option 2, all the variables are shown here, all the values, so you can see them and you can individually recall each. Now all clear, option, and then next screen 1, summation. We see all these summations for regression. Before it was just 2 of this, now we have 8. Any of these can be recalled. All clear, option, and then variables. You can see all the variables. You see we have a scroll line here where you can see different parameters or variables for that type of regression, and we can press arrow and go to minimum maximum, for example 3, minimum of x, maximum of x, minimum of y, maximum of y, and then just press the appropriate number. And here for regression, in this case these are the variables for the regression, and if you want to change the type we can press change and then option 1 and then 4. Because we are changing from one type to the other one, the data will not be lost because it is regression, but if you go from single variable to quadratic or something else, you will lose the data. And now let's enter these data. Press option 4, and here when you're on this screen, if you press option you will see more option here. For example, number 2, editor, and you can say delete all, 2, so it has been cleared. Now 20, I'm pressing 20 and then equal 110, 110 equal, and then 220 equal, 290 equal. Let's go to the right, first column 3150, 3150 equal, 7310, 7310 equal, 8800, 8800 equal, 9310, 9310 equal. The data have been entered, all clear as usual, and we can go option. If we press option and then down 4 and then 3, this 3 is correlation coefficient R, and then go option down 4, and in this case 1, option down 4, 1, that is regression coefficient A. If I press equal sign I can see it, and the same way you can do regression coefficient B, option down 4 and then B, equal sign, so we can see them. Now let's say determine y when x is equal 160. In this case we press 160 and then option down 4, we go and pick up this y. So we are evaluating y when x is 160, and that's the number. Now let's see how we can do binary, decimal, hexadecimal conversion and some digital calculation with this calculator. First, let's reset our calculator. Shift 9, 3 equal, so it has been initialized. We can do convert binary, decimal, hexadecimal, and octal one to the other, but we cannot do 1.5, for example, to binary. So this is the first thing you should know with this calculator. You have to use other tools or you have to use pen to do that. And also we can do AND or XNOR, not and negate calculations, bitwise calculation. We can also do addition, subtraction, multiplication, and more with this calculator. And when you want to do binary or base n, it's 32 bits. When x is greater than 32 bits of 0 and x is smaller than 31 bits of 1 with 1, and this is the range. And also in terms of negative 32 bits, it starts from 1 and then 0, 0, 0. We have 31 zeros, and x is smaller than 32 ones. And the same thing for octal. This is 0 0 and small and 10 sevens. This is 1 and then we have 10 sevens. And then for the negative, the same way octal, this is the range. And this is for decimal value, 32 bits, 2 to the power 32. This is actual our number. And then hexadecimal, this is 7F with 7 at the beginning. So we have to know the range, otherwise you will face error and it cannot handle it. This is still huge. And let's say you want to convert 10110. This is base 2 or binary. We want to convert it to decimal. First, let's go to base N mode, press menu, button here with blue, decimal, hexadecimal, binary, octal, and then we have all these letters. They have squared, blue squared around them, A, B, C, D up to F, which were used for hexadecimal. We can use them directly. We want to enter the value in binary. We must be in binary. I'm pressing BIN, this blue button. Now we are in binary, and let's enter 10110, and that is binary. We have to press equal to see it in here, and this is 32 bits. And the position of that value that we entered will start from the right, and it goes and fills this up. So we have 5 bits, and it has occupied 5 bits. Now we can press decimal, and it is converted to decimal. If you want to convert it to hex, just press the other button. All clear. And let's say you want to convert 231 decimal to binary. So we have to be in decimal. I'm pressing DEC, and then 231, press equal sign. After that, we can go to binary. When I press BIN, that's the value 1110011. You can also do the calculation something like this. This is 12 base 10 decimal plus hexadecimal, A5 base 16 plus binary 10 binary plus 5 octal. All clear. Let's enter the value. First press option, and then on the screen go down, and here it says D decimal, because this is 10 base 10 decimal. I'm pressing 1, so decimal, and then 12 plus this is hexadecimal A5, option, go down, hex 2, and then A5 hexadecimal A5 plus binary 10, and that's base 2, so option binary 310 plus 5 octal, option octal is 4, and then we enter 5, and then if I press equal, because we are in binary, the result is in binary. And if you go to any other mode, it will be converted to other 4. Now let's see how we can calculate 15 decimal times 37 decimal and then convert it to hex. We can be in decimal, go to decimal. We can do 15 times 37. Because we are in decimal, we can do it directly without the subscript or letter before it. Now to convert it to hex, we just press hex. If you want to do it that way as well, option, go down, decimal 1, 15 times option down 1, 37, and then convert it to hex. We got hex. You can do also some bitwise calculation. For example, 101 and 010, and is this gate where A and B must be 1 in order for the Q or the result to be 1. We can do that in this mode. We can enter in binary. First we must be in binary in this case, 101, and then option and 3, 010, 010, and then the result is all 000. And if you want to do 2A and BC, we have to go and be in hex, all clear, 2, and then A. For all these letters, we just directly press them, and then option 3 and BC, B, and then C, press equal, and that's the answer in hex. If you want it in binary, just press it and you will see the binary result. And in binary mode, for example, you want to do or means A or B must be 1 in order for the Q to be 1 or the output. So we can do 110 option or 4 and then 110 equal, and that's the answer. XOR exclusively A or B must be 1 in order for the Q to be 1. So we can enter 0, 1, 1 option XOR 5 and then 101 equal, and that's the answer. Exclusive NOR is the opposite of that. So 101 option 5 X, sorry, that's incorrect. Option XNOR is 6 and then 010 press equal, and that's the XNOR. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and subscribe now. Now let's see how we can do polynomial calculation with this calculator. Using this calculator, we can solve second degree x to the power 2, third degree x to the power 3, and fourth degree with the highest term with the x to the power of 4 polynomials. We can have real or complex solutions. We can enable or disable it to be displayed or not. And let's do the setup. The calculator is on. Let's reset it. Shift 9 3 equal so everything is initialized, and then shift setup once, twice, low, and then 1 equation and calculation, and in this case select the complex result 1 so we can turn it on. And then to go to polynomial mode, we go menu and A, this menu, and then the letter A, and in this case we select 2 polynomial, and then for the degree we select 2. This way we are starting with a second degree polynomial. And Muhammad bin Musa al-Khwarazmi's formula is here to help us to solve this second degree polynomials, also called quadratic formula. This formula is from Muhammad bin Musa al-Khwarazmi, and he was a Persian mathematician from Khurasan. Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarazmi من خراسان الكبير هو الفارسي. فارسی زبان از خراسان کبیر. And this is our example 1. Let's say we want to find the solution or the roots of this polynomial x squared minus 5x plus 6. And we will enter the coefficient of this. As you can see, we have empty space here. The coefficient of the highest term will be entered here, 1, and I'm pressing equal. It goes to the next field, minus 5. Pay attention, for this minus we use this minus and then 5 and then equal. It moves to the next one, and here we enter 6 and we press equal. And now if I press equal again, you will see that x1 is 3, and then we press again, we will see x2. We can go up and down x1 and x2, and also if I press equal sign once again, it says minimum of this equation x1 is 5 over 2, which is 2.5, and if I press it again, minimum of y minus 1 over 4 or minus 0.25. Let's have a look at the graph. If I open it at desmos.com, this is our function, and if I zoom in and show you, and here you can see that it is 2. If I go up, you see it is 2, and in here it is 3 here. So the x minimum and y minimum are helping as well. And then we have, if we want to set the polynomial to degree 2, if it is not, then at this screen also I'm pressing all clear, press option and then polynomial 2, and you can select again 2, 3 or 4. In our case this example is 2, so I'm pressing 2 to show you that you can change it. And this example, x squared minus x plus 1, we have imaginary solutions example. and let's enter the coefficient of the first term, 1 equal, and then again -1 equal, and the last term is 1 equal. And if I press it, you will see that x1 is 1 plus square root of 3i over 2. If you want decimal value, 0.5 with this. And if I press it, go down, the same value, just the sign changes if you pay attention. And let's open the graph on thismos.com. This is our function, and here, as you can see, because this is imaginary, the solution is 0.5, and you can see 0.5 in terms of x, and in terms of y it is 0.8 at this point. Now let's go for example 3. I'm pressing equal sign, and then the screen comes and we enter the value 1 equal -10, and then equal, and the last term is 25. And in this case, if I press equal again, we see just x. Now let's have a look at the graph on thismos.com, and this is our function. And as you can see, indeed we have only one solution, which is 5. And for example, example 4, this one has a missing last term, so we will enter 5. Let's go, continue with the same degree, 5, and then equal, and then here we enter 2, and then the last term we enter 0, and press equal, and the answer x1 is minus 0.4. If you want to change this by default to show decimal, we can also do that by pressing shift setup 1 and then decimal, press 2. So this way you always get the decimal value, and x2 is 0, and x minimum is 0.2, y minimum is minus 0.2. Let's have a look at thismos.com. That's our function. As you can see, it is minus 0.4, and x2 is 0, and x minimum is minus 0.2, and y minimum is also minus 0.2 at this point. Now let's go for example 5, a third degree equation. So in this case, press option and then 2, polynomial, and this time we press 3 for the third degree. Now you can see we have to the power 3, to the power 2, to the power 1, and then the constant term. And this is our equation. We don't have the term with a degree 2 and then the last term, so we have to add them here. Let's enter -1 and then equal, and then 0 equal, 4 equal, and then the last one 0 equal. Now if I press equal, we will get the answer. Let's go to thismos.com as well so we can see it. That's minus x cubed plus ax, and I've set a equal 4. So that's our equation. And here, as you can see, the solution x1 is 2, and x2 is minus 2, and x3 is 0. And if I press equal, it doesn't show y minimum, y maximum, because the y and x, these are infinity in this case. Now let's go for this example. This is also degree 3, minus 1, 0, 3, and then 5. And if I press equal, x1 is this number, x2 is real and imaginary value, and x3 is the same, but this just has plus and minus. If you pay attention, go up and down, you will see it. And now let's see how we can find system of equations solving for x and y when we have two equations. So if you have two equations, we can solve for two variables, and if we want to solve for x, y, and z, then we have to have three equations. In this case, to change for equation, press option, and then this time simultaneous equation, press 1, and then we are pressing 2 for second degree. Now in this case we have a coefficient of x, coefficient of y, and then the last term. This way we have two equations, we can solve them, and here is our equation: 2x plus 4y equals 10, and then x minus 6y equals 3. We want to solve for x and y. That makes this equation true. So we enter 2 and then equal, 4 equal, and then 10 equal. It moves to the next, in this case 1, and then minus 6 equal, and then minus 3. Now if I press it, it says x is equal 3 and y is 1. Now if we have three equations, press option and then 1 and then 3 for the three unknowns. And in this case we have 3, but we have x, y, z, and then the equal sign on this side. So, and here is an example: x plus 5y plus z equals 15. Let's enter the value 1 and then 5 and then 1, and then on this side 15. It moves. If I press equal, it goes to the next line. In this case 3, 1, 6, 20, 3, 1, 6, and then 20, and then it moves to the next line: minus 2, 8, 0, 8, minus 2, 8, 0, and then 8. And if I press equal, it says x is equal 4. I can press equal, or just go down. Y is equal 2 and z is equal 1. So this way we can use system of equation to solve. This can be done for 4 unknown and 4 variables. Let's change it. Go to option and then 1 and then 4, and as you can see we have x, y, z, and then we have t as well. After t, then it is equal. So in that case you can also do that. To return to normal, press mode and then 1 to exit from the equation and functions. Now let's see how we can work with matrix with this calculator. This calculator can perform matrix of up to 4 by 4, and to work with matrix we have to save the matrices into the memory. To go to matrix, we press menu 4 and then all clear. This menu and then 4. We see this. Do not worry, I'm pressing all clear. To work with matrix, we will save them in a memory called matrix A, matrix B, matrix C, matrix D, 4 memories, and then we have matrix answer. So this is temporary, but also in general we have 5 memories. Let's say we want to save this into matrix A, so we press option and then define matrix 1, and then matrix A is 1. That's why option 1, 1. And then it asks you for the row and column. Rows is 3, and then a column is also 3. We have a space here for the matrix. Let's enter the values: 7, 4, 5. I press each value and press equal sign: 7 and then equal, 4 equal, 5 equal. It goes to the next line: 2, 3, 0, 2 equal, 3 equal, 0 equal, and then 8, 1, 9, 8 equal, 1 equal, 9 equal. Matrix A is defined. Just press all clear and exit. Now to view the matrix, we press option and 3. Option and then 3, matrix A. This is the matrix. We can do some calculation. If I press equal, we will see the values, and with the arrow left and right, up and down, we can move and see the values in here as well. So to edit matrix A, go to option, edit matrix 2, and then whichever matrix you want to edit, in this case A, and then you can enter the value. For example, for 1, let's say 5, and press equal. Now the matrix have been updated, but I don't want to do that for now. That's A. So now for matrix B, option, define matrix B. In this case I'm pressing 1 and then 2 for matrix B, and then rows is 3, 3, so 3 by 3. And let's save this: minus 1, 5, 26, minus 1 equal 5 equal 26 equal, and it moves to the next 3, 14, 9, 3, 1, 4, 9, and then 0, 4, 8, 0, 4, and then 8, and then press all clear, exit. Now you can do calculation with those two matrices. A plus B, shift, bring matrix A, 3, and then plus, option, matrix B is 4, and then press equal, and we got the answer. As you can see, it says matrix answer, and we can recall it anytime. If I press all clear, option, go down, you see matrix answer 1, and if I press it again, it's here. Now in this case, we can save this in one of the memory. In this case, I want to save it in C. To do that, we press store and then press C. Now it has been saved automatically. Store and then the letter C, and the same way you can do with D, but not the rest, A, B, C, D only, because we have only 4 matrix. And all clear. Now let's go and recall C to see if it exists. Option, matrix C, 5, and then equal, and that's the matrix answer that was there. And let's say we want to do answer times 2. Option, answer, matrix answer times 2, and that is scaled or multiplied by 2. And if you want to find inverse of a matrix A, all clear, bring the matrix, option, matrix A, 3, and then inverse is this button, x to the power minus 1. That's inverse, and press equal, and that is the inverse of that matrix. The values are in decimal, but this highlight shows that cell in exact value, which you can do it with SMD with the more number of digits, but exact value is here. You can move with the arrow to see the exact value in case in your exam or course you need the exact value. All clear, exit. And if you want to do matrix A squared, bring matrix A, matrix, and then A3, and then squared. Now if I press equal, that's the square root of a matrix A. Let's say you want to save it in D, just press store and then the letter D, this red. Now it has been stored in matrix D. All clear? If you want to find the determinant of a matrix, go option and then low and 2, option, down, and then 2, determinant. Now it says the determinant of matrix A, bring the matrix, option, matrix A, 3, and then close it, press equal, and determinant is a number, and we got 7. If you want to do the transposition of matrix B, go to all clear, option, down, and then transposition 3, and bring the matrix, option, 4, matrix B, close the parenthesis and press equal, and that's the transposition in the diagonal. All the values have been transposed. And if you want to, let's say in your calculation, sometimes you need to multiply by an identity matrix, 2 by 2, 3 by 3, whatever identity matrix is, has the same row and column. To generate identity matrix, press option and then go down, 4, identity, and because we want 2 by 2, you just type 2 and then close and press equal, and that's a 2 by 2 identity matrix. If you want to get absolute value of each element of matrix B, we can do that. Shift and then this ABS, and then bring the matrix, option, matrix B, 4, and then close it. So it removes all the sign and everything is now positive. That was the full operation of matrix with this calculator. To exit from matrix mode, menu and 1. Now let's see how we can do inequality calculation with this calculator. This calculator can do second, third, and fourth degree inequality calculation with polynomials. To go to inequality, press menu and then letter B. Now it asks for the degree, which you can select between 0 to 4, and we can select here, because our equation in this case, the highest power is 2. I'm going to select 2 by pressing 2. So here are the examples that we see which one matches, and as you can see here, we are looking for smaller than 0 for the quadratic. We are pressing 2. And this screen has empty spot for the coefficients. For the first one, For the first one, we enter 1 and then press equal sign. Then we go for the second one, 2, and then the last one is -3. I'm pressing this minus and then 3 and press equal. Once everything is completed, press equal, and you will see the answer here. X is smaller than 1 or X is greater than 3, then this inequality will be true. So under this condition, if I press S and D, you will see it in this format where X is greater than A and smaller than B. So A is -3 and B is 1, or you can see it like this. The format that you saw with S and D will be different with math and line, so they will be switched. Now let's see for this inequality which has equal and greater, then we press option, go 1, polynomial, and the degree is 2. And here we select this option number 3. Now the coefficient of first term or highest term is 2, press equal, and then -3, this minus and 3, equal, and then 1. And if I press equal sign, we get the answer. So this equation is true under the condition that X is equal or greater than 1 and X is equal or smaller than 0.5. If I press this button, you see 0.5 and 1. So X is greater than or equal B, which is 1, and equal than 0.5. Here, to return to normal calculation, press mode and then 1. Now let's see how we can do distribution calculation with this calculator. We can do different types of distribution calculation. Let's go with the menu and 7 to the distribution mode. Menu and then press 7. We are in distribution mode. And number one is normal probability distribution, and then number 2 is normal cumulative distribution, and then 3 is inverse normal cumulative distribution, and then number 4 is binomial probability distribution, and on this screen binomial cumulative distribution, and then Poisson probability distribution, and then probability cumulative for Poisson. So all these options are available, and we will see all these variables depending on each type that you select. So all of these will be available to use or deploy per boundary area probability value and all of these. And if these are selected, you see all the variables, but beyond this 4. And on the next screen, we have also list where, for example, if I select this one, number 1, you will see list and variables available. And if I go in one list, here we can have up to 45 rows available for us. And then when we enter values, for example, 35, 4, and then 3, we can go and change them by pressing delete, and if I press equal, and on any of these, when you're there, when you press option, you will see these options. For example, number 2, editor. Here you can insert new row and delete. If I press 2, delete all. So keep in mind that that option is available when you see this screen. When you're out of this screen, this option will be different. And this is example 1. For example, it says calculate normal distribution probability distribution when X is equal 36 and sigma is 2 and then mu is 35. So now let's press option and then 1, select type, and then we are selecting 1. In this case, X is 36, I'm entering it, and sigma is 2, and then mu is 35, and if I press equal, it gives me the answer, the probability of success, or whatever other term that you use for this. And example 2, let's use cumulative binomial option, and then 1, and here we use probability distribution number 4. And in this case, we have list 1, and let's enter this value 10, 11, 12, 13. 10, I'm pressing this equal, and then 11, and then 12 and then 13, when n is equal to 15 and p is equal to 0.6. In this case, when you have no other value and press equal, you will be presented with this screen where you can enter n. I'm entering 15 and then press equal, and then for the p 0.5, and if I press equal, now everything has been selected, press equal, and this column has been filled with the p. So the values have been now presented for us. And on this screen, we can delete any value, but keep in mind that all these values are available. If I come to the right, I can save this in memory, in any of these memory, A, B, C, D, E, F, X, and Y, so to use them. For example, if I want to store it in F, press store and then F, and you will see stored in F. So all of these, you can have up to these 6 plus 2, 8 of these can be saved and recalled later and used in your calculation. But if you update any of the value in X, for example, if I change it to 6, this has been now resetted. So I press equal and then equal. In this screen now, you're given a chance to select N and P, or if you want to just continue, press equal and it will be recalculated. Return to normal mode, press menu 1. Now let's see how we can do the ratio calculation here. With the ratio, you can do ratio calculation. This is an example. Let's determine X in this format. A with respect to B is equal X with respect to D, or we can do it A to B and equal to C to X. So in that we have 3 knowns, but the position of X is changing. So we can select that by going menu and then C, the letter C. It goes to ratio, and here it asks 1 or 2. So in this case, our televisions are 16:9. That's the width is 16, whatever unit you have, inch, centimeter, whatever, and then the height is 9. So this is the ratio, 16:9, and the older TV was 4:3. 4 was the width and 3 was the height. And for example, you want to fit a photo on a 16:9 TV. If width is 3400 pixel, what should be the height? So this is one of the application that we want to do. In this case, option and then 1, 2. If I press all clear, option 1 and then 2, we want X on this side. So we will enter 16 and then equal 9. So 16:9 equal to what to X? We want to find X when the width is 3200, 3200. Remember, when this is large, 16:9, this is 3200, X must be smaller as well. Press equal and then equal. Now it says X is 1800. So we learned that if you want a photo to fit, if the width is 3200, the height must be 1800 pixels in order for the photo to fit perfectly on the screen. To exit, press menu and then 1. And now let's see how we can use Spreadsheet with this calculator. Calculator can have up to 45 rows and 5 columns. And the rows will be from 1 to 45, and the columns will be from A to E. And then the important key is alpha. Alpha is labeled red. All the keys that have red will be activated when you press alpha. As you can see, A, B, C, D, E, F, X, Y, M, and all the other keys that have red will be activated when you press alpha. To go to Spreadsheet, we press menu and 8. Now we are in Spreadsheet mode. Cell, we can go with the arrow left, right, up and down. In each cell we can have value as constant. For example, 7 plus 3, 7 plus 3, that is a constant. Or you can have sine of 30, for example, sine of 30. Or you can have formula. When you have equal sign, that is formula. For example, I press shift and then calc. Here we have red equal sign, and then A1 plus 2, alpha A, and then 1 plus 2, it means 1, and add 2. And now this, if I go with the arrow, you can see the values here. That's just a number, but this A3 is a formula. To check the free space, because we have limited space here, we press Option and then 4. It will tell you how much space is left. Press All Clear to exit. We go back to Spreadsheet, delete all cells. We press Option and then go down and then delete all, press 3. Now example 1, let's enter into A1, A2 and A3 these values. So 7 times 5, and then I'm pressing equal, 7 times 6 equal, and the last one A2 plus 7, alpha equal, alpha A2 plus 7, and then equal. Now the values have been entered. If I go up, you can see them. And then into B1 we enter A1 plus 7. Let's go here, B1, and then alpha equal, alpha A1 plus 7, and then press equal. If you want to edit A2 to 100, let's go to A2 and then press Option, edit cell 3, and then type here 100. Let me delete that. 100 and press equal. Now the value of cell 2 have been changed. We can use also grab command. For example, let's go to B2 and then press alpha and then equal. I have now equal. After that, press Option and you will see different thing. Press 2. This will allow you to grab value or formula from the other cell. Let's go with the arrow to the left and then press equal. When I press equal, A1 was typed here, A2. Whatever is inside A2 have been typed. And then we add plus 7. So what it says is go grab A2 and then add 7 and press equal. So that's the value. Now B2 has A2 plus 7. To delete one cell, go to that cell, for example, in here, and then press delete and it will be deleted. To cut and paste from A1 to A4, for example, from A1, go to A1 and then press Option and then go down. Here it says 1, cut and paste. We go to A4 and then press equal. The value have been moved. To copy and paste from A2 to A5, let's go to A2. We press Option, go down, and then this time 2, because we want to copy and paste, and then to A5 and press equal. It has been pasted. Keep in mind that when I'm at the last row, if I press it, it goes and circulates and comes back to 45. So you don't have to go a long way. Just press it and it rotates back to 1. To return to spreadsheet, press All Clear and you exit from here. Now exercise 3. Let's say you want to have sum of A1 to A3 into A4. I have deleted A1. Let's put some value. Go to A4 first here and we press alpha equal and we get the sum. To get the sum, we press Option, go down, and here it says sum 4, sum, and then we say A1 to A3, so alpha A1, and then alpha, and then this button is colon, alpha A3, and then close it, press equal, and that is the sum of the cells above. You can do also minimum, maximum, mean, and sum. You can do also batch, meaning you can fill up cells. For example, if you want to fill B1, B2, B3, let's go to B1 first. I'm going to B1. We are just adding something else. Option and then fill formula 1, and then it says equal to. In this case, we want to insert 2A1 minus 3, which means twice of A1, whatever is A1 multiplied by 2, and subtract 3. So equal is already there. Just type 2 and then alpha A1 minus 3 and then press equal. It goes to the next. go to the right and let's put B1 and then to B3. And if I press equal, it's now solid. Press equal sign. And as you can see, we have 2A1 minus 3, and it goes to the next one. It has copied 2A2 and then 2A3. Now you can see it has changed A1, A2, A3 because it's dynamic and it is selecting. Now if you want to do batch constant, then let's do batch constant with C1, C2 and C3 and triple the value of the left cell. We want to get whatever is here, multiply it by 3 and put it there. So let's go to C1. We are in C1 and then option and then fill value 2, and here we say B1 times 3. Let's type alpha B1 times 3 and then press equal, and here we say from C1 to C3. That's C1 already, just go to the right and 3. If I press equal and then equal, now this from C1, C2, C3 have been filled up with the values that we have on the left side. You can see this is now 197. If I go and change this 100 and make it 200, you can see it has changed because it is enabled. But it sometimes you can disable it and wait until you run the recalculation. Let's to disable it, press Shift Setup and then go down. You will see Spreadsheet number 4 and then auto calculate 1, and then let's turn it off 2. Now in this case we have 397. The cell, if I make it 100, you can see 397 has not changed. Even though it says grab it, it stays. So to do recalculation, if it is disabled from setup, press option down and then 4, recalculate, and now it has changed. Now we can do absolute value, which means grab the value. Remember when I mentioned this, these values have been grabbed from A1, A2, A3, but we can do and say that, okay, go on A column and do not change 1 or 2, just all the cells should be from A1. In that case, we need to use $sign, the same way that Excel or Google Sheet. So from cell A1 and add 1.13 to it on D1 to D4. Let's go to D1 and here. So first we are in D1, now option 1 and then enter the formula here, alpha A, press option and then $1, A, dollar and then 1, plus 1.13 plus 1.13. This is just an example. The whole point is the $sign and press equal. And in this cell, we want to enter D1 to D4 and press equal and then equal. And now this cell have been filled up. And as you can see, all of the values are the same because we say go and grab from A1. So when it takes it from A1, that 36.13, that's the value, 37.13. To delete all cells, option down, we can do, and everything have been cleared. Now let's see here, we have, for example, 25 and then 36, and in this cell we have equal and then alpha A1 plus 2. In this case, we see the formula here. Now, if we go to the option, setup options, and the next screen, spreadsheet number 4, and then show cell 2, right now it is set to formula. If I select value 2, you will see that in this cell, it just shows the value, which I do not prefer it, because we see the value anyway. So this is very helpful. So we can turn it on and off using this option. And that was how to use the spreadsheet. To get back to normal, press menu and then 1. Now let's see how we can use constants of this calculator. This calculator has 47 built-in scientific constants that you can use in your calculation. If I press all clear, shift and 7, this is the constants. And here are all the constants. on the conversion units that we have. One universal and the two electromagnetics, atomic and nuclear, physicochemistry, and then if I go down you see adopted values and other, and these are all based on CODATA of 2010 standard. If I go to universal 1, and then in this case 3 is speed of light. If I press equal, you can see the value, or you can use it in your calculation, multiply by some number or divide, whatever you want to do. And it can be used in your calculation. For example, to calculate F1 uses G, the gravitational constant. In this case, if you want to solve this, you can grab it from the constant, and you have mass 1, mass 2, and then the distance between objects. We can use that. For example, for this we can use GAB over C because we don't have M1, M2. So let's create our formula. Shift constant 1 universal, and then G is 7, that is G, and then multiply by, put a fraction, and then we put AB, A, and then we can put times, or without times it will work, B, and then go to the denominator, C squared, alpha C, and then squared. We can enter for M1, we use A. Now I press CALC, and here 1 times 10 to 12, I'm going to use 1, and then times 10 to 12, I'm going to use this button, times 10 to 12, and then press equal for B, 1 times 10 to 9, 1 times 10 to 9, equal, and then for C, 4,500. And if I press after final this bar, that's the answer, 3,295.7 Newton is the gravitational force, or force between the two masses. Now let's see how we can do metric conversion with this calculator. This will allow you to convert values one to the other for the metric, and to convert, for example, 5 centimeter to inch, all clear, we type 5 and then shift 8, that's the convert button here, CONV, and it says what is your value that you're looking for, length, area, value, mass, and this shows that we have more velocity, pressure, energy, power, and then the third page, temperature. So in this case it's length 1, and here we have inch to centimeter, centimeter to inch, because we want centimeter to inch, press 2, and here it says 5 centimeter to inch, press equal, and that's the value. I can press S and D to see the actual value, and we can directly calculate it during the calculation. For example, you have kilometer per hour, but you want to use it as meter per second in your calculation in physics or calculus. And here is example 1. How far a car moves in 5 seconds if the speed is 100 km per hour. Pay attention, this is in second, but the speed is in hour. So you have to have the same unit in order to calculate it. Either convert this to second or convert the second to hour to get properly. But in this calculator you can do it directly. And in this case the formula would be the speed in meter per second times the time in second. And in this case, in this formula we are using this kilometer in here, and it will be properly converted to second. And the time is 5 seconds. So let's enter 100. We press shift 8, and in this case let's go down. Velocity is 1, and kilometer per hour to meter per second, or meter per second to kilometer per hour. In our case 1, and then times 5. Times 5 is the 5 seconds. Press equal, and that is the distance of the car in 5 seconds if it goes 100 km per hour. So this way you can use a conversion very easily. If I press shift convert, you will see that we have area, volume, mass. All of these are available very easily. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and subscribe now. And let's have a look at errors that this calculator shows on the screen. So we will see math error on the screen when the range exceeds the limit of the calculator, or you do an illegal operation like divided by 0, you will see math error. If you see stack error, it's the capacity of a stack that stores a value on top of each other, and the capacity of matrix or vector that exceeds the limit. And if you see syntax error, format of writing, for example, sign, open and close, you forget it, it says argument. So it will be the format of writing, and if you see argument error, it will be sign or something that needs argument inside the parenthesis and you have forgotten or incorrect value have been entered. And if you see dimension error, it will be related to matrix or vector. If you see variable error, it will be related to solve feature, which I've given example. And if you see cannot solve, it's also related to solve. If you see range error, it's in table mode or in spreadsheet. And if you see timeout, it's a differential or integral related errors. And if you see circular error, it will be inside the spreadsheet. For example, if you say equal A1 in the A1, so it goes to itself and gets, and it will be circular error. And if you have memory error, then spreadsheet mode, it runs out of memory. There are some technical information about this calculator. Number of digits that it can work is 15, and the calculation range is plus minus 1 times 10 to the power minus 99 to plus minus 9 times 999 and times 10 to the power 99. And the precision is plus minus 1 at 10 digit for single calculation. And precision for exponential display is plus minus 1 at the least significant digit. Technical information from the data sheet. And here are the specification. For 570, we can use AAA battery. And for FX-991EX, which has built-in solar, we can use LR44 one pieces. And here are the dimensions. And here are the frequently asked questions, which I have answered them all. Now let me show you how to replace the battery. With FX-991EX, we have only one battery and one screw. It just needs a Phillips screwdriver. Let's just use this tiny, and it popped out, and that's the battery. Now let me show you the voltage of this battery. And as you can see, it is 1.47, that's 1.5 volts for this battery. To put the new battery, make sure that this button side is down and insert it from this side like that, like this, and then push it. Now, if I press on, it will turn on, and you see the solar is also working, but let me turn it off. And insert this from this side and tighten the screw. Let's check it. It is working. And after that, make sure to initialize the calculator by pressing Shift 9 and then 3 and then equal. And that's very important. If you have this 570EX, instead of 1 screw, you have to open this 2, 4, and then 6 screws to be able to replace the battery. And here are the dimensions. And here are the frequently asked questions, which I have answered them all. I'm signing off, Ahmad the Persian from Khurasan.